Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I'd like to call to order the Ascension Parish Council meeting for March 17th here at the Ascension Parish Courthouse. Thank you all for coming. We got a nice crowd tonight. I'd like to call on Coach to give us the invocation.
Mind standing, please. Let's bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, as we come at this hour in the evening, we come, Lord, to say thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon each of us. We pray, Lord, that you bless the meetings, bless Ascension Parish, and bless those that don't know you and the pardon of their sin. We pray, Lord, that you continue to guide, lead, and direct us in a mighty way. And Lord God, as we leave this place tonight, I pray, Lord, that you allow each of us to get home safe and sound. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, before we start, we got some Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts that are coming up to do the Pledge of Allegiance for us. From Cub Scout Pack 69, Riker Furman, Jacob Bateman, Lee Heath, Braxton Baldridge, and Pharaoh Chapman. And from Boy Scout Troop 69, Logan Martinez, Cole Morgan, Tanner Stanga, Gage Myers, Levi Roulier, and Christian Bagala. And just one of you guys decide to stand up there at the microphone and recite the pledge for us, please. Thank you so much.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much.
Can I get the boys up here? We'll take a photo.
Yeah, sure. We'll just stay back here and get them to stand in front.
Little ones on the step.
Go over this low area. You want us in the middle?
Yeah, we can call in a beer.
Got my green towel. St. Patty's Day. Okay. On the roll call, Madam Chair, Madam Secretary, I should say, Councilman Joel Robert is not here. I understand he's on his way, running late. Under the chair's additions, the chair is requesting an item be added to the agenda tonight, which requires a unanimous vote. The agenda item is to introduce an ordinance to amend the original moratorium ordinance, extending it to May 31st, 2022. And I understand I need a motion and a second, and we have to have a unanimous vote. Motion by Councilman Melanson, second by Councilwoman Casso. Roll call vote, Madam Secretary. Okay, the motion has failed. We did not get a unanimous vote. So we'll move on to item. I'll be announcing other actions later in the agenda that we're going to be doing some things because this item may come up in the next council meeting for consideration. Make note that Councilman Robert has shown up. Next, we have a public comment sign-in period. Anyone who has any item they want to consider on the agenda in favor of or against, come see the secretary, get a red or green card, sign it, get it back to her, and you'll be called upon when that agenda item comes up. Under presentations, item 5, a proclamation to proclaim April 3rd to 9th, 2022 as National Library Week in Ascension Parish. Who do we have on that?
All right, excellent. Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Council. Since 1960, the Ascension Parish Library has strived to strengthen the community by offering citizens access to information through services and resources to ensure equity of all access for all. And APL continues to expand its offerings to encourage people to connect, explore the world through books, multimedia content, programs, and workshops. The library continues to address technology needs, providing access to computers, the internet, and training that is critical to assessing education and employment opportunities. In times of crisis, the library and its staff have pledged to support the needs of the parish both in person and virtual. Libraries significantly impact critical thinking, problem solving through the access of information and ideas. APL promotes opportunities to read, learn, and create. Librarians and library workers across the nation are celebrating April 3rd through the 9th, 2022, as National Library Week. Therefore, I, Clint Quentmall, President of Ascension Parish, Louisiana, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim April 3rd through the 9th, 2022, as National Library Week in Ascension Parish. And I encourage all residents to explore the programs, hands-on learning experiences, and resources the Ascension Parish Library offers to keep our parish engaged, educated, and entertained. If I can have the library people come on forth, maybe we'll get a group photo and we'll issue the proclamation.
Mr. President, if I may beforehand, I'd like to acknowledge some of the library board members here tonight.
Absolutely.
Henry Schexnayder is on the board. Lisa Bacala is a board member. And Mr. John Stelly, who's the director of our library system here. And if there are any other employees or board members, please introduce them.
Okay, we do have our public information officer, Tiana DeQuire, as well as Chris Ashe, the assistant director, Carrie Goodall, who is our acquisitions librarian, and then Joyce Sigler, who is our marketing coordinator.
Very good. And I'd also like to make an announcement. The Ascension Parish Library cordially invites you to the commemoration ceremony of Angele Desatel, former library director, April the 5th at 11 a.m., 708 South Irma Boulevard.
10 a.m.
At 10 a.m., I'm sorry. So mark your calendars. Mr. President, go right ahead.
I think that
Certainly, Henry.
I'll be brief. That's all right. The library was formed roughly 62 years ago to serve the residents of Ascension Parish. Since that time, the library has done, great things, and currently we have over 81,000 card holders who are currently using our library services. The library is a lot more than books. We have community programming for kids, teens, as well as adults. We have outreach vehicles that we use in going out to nursing homes, to going to senior citizens. We work very closely with the WAG Center in Donaldsonville and work with Sheriff Bobby Weber, and we will continue to do that work. The library has future plans to renovate our building in Donaldsonville, which will also have a museum, which will illustrate the rich history of Donaldsonville. And then we also have plans to build a new library in Sanamaw along with the communities district, where we're going to have a community center which will be used for community services, and during disasters will be used as a distribution center. So we have a lot of plans with the library, and we'll continue to work with the parish and other agencies to continue those services. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Can I join y'all?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. She's on the board.
We're lucky to have Ms. Castle as one of our board members, too. So she's wearing dual hats today.
could y'all squeeze in just a little more? That's fine. Coach, right there. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, moving along to item 5B, proclamation to proclaim March as National Disabilities Month in Ascension Parish. Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairman. The Ark of Ascension Parish is a nonprofit organization committed to providing services and support that enabling people of all ages with developmental and intellectual disabilities and special needs to obtain their full potential. The Ark strives to promote and maintain a high level of professionalism in all areas and to maximize all resources, human and financial, in the interest of helping all persons that serve the leading the fulfilling and rewarding lives. The ARC includes over 140,000 members, affiliated through more than 850 state and local chapters across the nation. It is important that every individual and family affected by intellectual and developmental disabilities have access to information, advocacy, and skills they need to participate as active members of their community, to live an ordinary, decent American life. People with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families are valued, respected, and included in all communities. They direct their own lives and can choose services and support from many available sources. And they are empowered through nonprofit advocacy. State and federal governments administer programs and set budgets that meet everyone's needs. Therefore, I, Clint Quintmall, President of Ascension Parish, Louisiana, by the virtue of authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim March 2022 as Disability Awareness Month in Ascension Parish. And I encourage all citizens to support efforts that enable people with disabilities to lead productive lives and achieve their full potential. So we wanted to see if there was a representative who would like to come up
Thank
and
you,
speak.
Mr. President. Will the ARC members please come forward?
Good
Welcome.
afternoon. Hi, I'm Raven LaBeach, the Executive Director of the Ark of East Ascension, and we are so glad to be here to have the awareness of the people who we support, people with development and intellectual disabilities, and that this month is a distinguished month to be able to recognize how we are inclusive in this community. First of all, I want to thank this parish for all the support that they have provided to our agency and the people that we serve. I'm here today along with our board members. I'll let them come up and introduce themselves.
I'm Tammy Williams, Board President.
Rhonda Lamondola, board member.
Erica Brown Ramos, Board Member.
Anita Can, board member.
Hi, Pam Hughes, I was trying to say assistant principal, vice president of board.
And I also have our marketing director, Miss Sharon Morris, which some of you probably know, but you want to come, but this is Sharon. And I just want to again say thank you. We look forward for all the partnerships that you all have provided for us in this parish and the support that you have provided. I also want to put on record that we have our wonderful annual fundraiser coming up July 9th. Dancing for a Cause, so we definitely want everybody to come and participate. And also thank you for the things that you have provided so that our individuals that we support have activities to do that provide them with a quality of life and a meaningful day. We are also collecting beads for our bead recycling program for resale. Your donation of beads to the agency provides job and job skill development for the people that we support. So you are welcome to drop off your beads at 1122 Southeast Ascension Complex Boulevard. And once again, thank you.
Thank y'all.
See my moves.
Thank y'all.
This is Anita, so good to see you.
Everybody, thank you. Thank y'all. Okay. Thank you, ladies. Moving right along, item 5C, proclamation to proclaim March as Flood Awareness Month in Ascension Parish. Mr. President.
Thank you, Chair. The Amite River Basin has been substantially affected by floods in the past and can be expected to be affected in the future. And most of Ascension Parish is within the Amite River Basin. The citizens, communities, and parishes within the Amite River Basin have suffered substantial losses during those floods, and some of the most important devastating floods occurred during the spring season. Ascension Parish residents suffered 2 devastating and catastrophic floods in 2016 and again in 2021, and have been subject to numerous and repeated high rain and flash flooding events in the intervening years. The citizens and individual property owners should be aware of the measures that they can take by themselves and through government to reduce their risk of flood loss. Therefore, I, Clint Quintmall, President of Ascension Parish, Louisiana, by the virtue of the authority invested in me, do hereby proclaim March 2022 as Flood Awareness Month in Ascension Parish, and encourage all of our citizens to learn how to minimize the effects of flood on their property. So I'd just like to take an opportunity to acknowledge somebody in the audience. They didn't want to come up and speak, but Marcy Shivers in the back, our floodplain administrator, works very, very hard and helping us assist us with our rating system, including our FEMA maps and our flood zones, and coordinates a lot for Ascension Parish. So I just wanted to acknowledge her. I will ask her to come up and take a photo, though. So let's do that.
Thank you for your service. Okay. Next agenda item is the parish president's report. President Quintmall.
Thank you, Chair. Due to the 3 proclamations, as well as a busy council schedule, I really don't have anything to report at this time. I just wanted to get these proclamations done. So that'll end the report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving along. Go ahead, Coach.
All right. Thank you very much, Chairman. I'd like to just thank Mr. President for the meeting last night in Donaldsonville. I think it was very productive, and we had enough elected officials and enough people there to take heed to what was being said and done. So I'd like to thank you for it, for being in Donaldsonville, and appreciate you coming and giving us the information we need to move forward.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, moving right along. Consent agenda. The secretary will read the consent agenda.
Amendment number 1, a contract for professional services for waterway debris removal with DRC Emergency Services LLC to amend the not-to-exceed amount of the contract from $7 million to $15.5 million. This includes East Baton Rouge's portion of work to be completed that the parish will bill for. Amendment number 1, to contract for professional services for disaster debris monitoring and related services with Thompson Consulting Services LLC to amend the not-to-exceed amount of the contract from $10,000 to $550,000. Contribution to the Donaldsonville Shooting Stars Leadership Ascension Team in the amount of $58,000 for their project to renovate the Lemon Center in Donaldsonville to a high-quality gymnasium facility for public use. Request for $75,000 for the 3rd year of a 3-year agreement with ESRI, Environmental Systems Research Institute, Inc., for small government term enterprise license agreement. Amendment number 3, Jana King, to include additional locations to the original scope as follows. HR cleaning 4 times a week for $1,592 per month. DA's office cleaning 4 times a week for $3,633 per month. Several recreation locations 2 times per week for $2,452 per month. And mosquito control 4 times a week for $933 per month. Total amount of the amendment is $52,023 through the end of the contract term in August for a total contract not to exceed amount of $432,020. Change order number 2, ASA contractors for the OEP department relocation and renovation, new wall mounted seat in men's restroom, labor for relocation and electrical reroute for an additional amount of $588 for a total contract amount of $232,035.90. Bid results and authority to enter into contract with Delcon LLC in the amount of $220,674 for HR Department relocation and renovations, Ascension Parish Annex Phase 2. Bid results and authority to enter into contract with Delcon LLC in the amount of $72,330 for mechanical fabrication services, Marvin Bro Pump Station rebid. Change order number TO0402 asphaltic concrete pavement preservation 2019 through 2020. Material Resources, Inc., addition of 36 days to contract time due to Hurricane Ida and other rain days encountered, and to correct change order TO0401 contract total. The new completion date is November 16, 2021, with no increase in the amount. Certificate of substantial completion, asphaltic concrete pavement preservation 2019 through 2020, Parish Project ENG 19200, task order number 4, Material Resources, Inc. Bid results and authority to enter into contract with David Shoring, Inc. in the amount of $498,000 for West Bank Courthouse Stabilization Rebid 2022 project to stabilize the West Bank Courthouse by methods of push pier or helical pile support system. Bid results and authority to enter into contract with Triumph Construction LLC in the amount of $502,000 for Henry Road safety widening, LA 73 to Tilliston Road, Aikens Road, clearing and grubbing rebid.
Okay, at this time, does any council member wish to pull anything from consent to discuss further? Councilman Robert. Item what?
E,
E?
as an elephant.
Okay. Item E will be brought to general business as item D. Councilman Lawler?
Yes, sir. I was item K
Okay.
is in kangaroo.
Item K will be item 8E. All righty. Any others? There being no others.
Motion to approve the consent, second, whichever is
Motion by
needed.
Chase to approve the consent agenda as amended, and seconded by Councilwoman Casso. Any objection? Any further discussion? There being none, motion carries. All right, moving along to general business. Resolution to appoint and ratify Benny Johnson as Ascension Parish Communications District Board.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilman Mason, second by Councilwoman Cazo. Any objection? Any discussion? There being none, that motion carries. Item B, approval to extend agreement with Louisiana Lobbying Solutions for 4 months until the end of the current session of the legislature on June 6, 2022, and to go out for RFQ. Motion by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilwoman Cazo. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. Item C, ratification of Alligator Bayou Flood Hazard Emergency Declaration of May 17, 2021. Legal counsel?
Motion to.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazo to approve, second by Councilman Chase Melanson. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, that Motion carries. Okay, we go back to item E. Amendment 3, Janie King, to include additional locations to the original contract scope as follows. HR cleaning 4 times a week for $1,592 a month. DA's office cleaning 4 times a week for $3,633 per month. Several recreation locations 2 times per week for $2,452 per month, and mosquito control 4 times a week for $933 per month. Total amount of the amendment is $52,023 through the end of the contract term in August, for a total contract not to exceed $432,020. Mr. Compton.
Should we see what he needs to know?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilman Robert.
It's just an easy question. I was just curious. It's kind of vague on most of it, which I'm okay with because it's cleaning, but when we get to the recreation, it says several recreation locations 2 times per week. Now, if we have several in a contract, I mean,
So,
I'm not saying they won't do them all on accident, but it could be like 2 instead.
Yes, sir.
Because it just says that.
in the packet, the rest of the description explains Hillaryville Park, Jackie Robinson Park, Highway 621 Park, Stevens Park, Oak Grove Community Center, Santa Monica Recreation Park, Paula Park, Southwood Park, and Butchgoer Park will all receive cleanings 2 times a week.
That's all. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazzo, second by Councilman Malonzo to approve. Any further discussion? Any objection? There being none, motion carries. And we go to K, which is now 8E under general business. Bid results and authority to enter a contract with David Shoring, I guess it is, Inc., in the amount of $498,000 for West Bank Courthouse stabilization, rebid 2022. Project to stabilize the West Bank Courthouse by methods of push pier and helical pile support system.
Yeah. Yes, okay, I think I'll wait for the microphone to get on. We had this contract out before. Why did we rebid this?
The time we had it out before, the contractor had went to a certain extent, and he said, hang on, this is more than what we was expecting. And so at that time, also, we had a new administration come in, and the president said, look, let's get somebody more professional involved. So we went to New Orleans and got an engineering firm. They came out and redid the drawings. They gave us a bid amount. We put it out for bid. We couldn't get a bid for that amount. So we had finance do a budget amendment at the end of the year, and now we're putting it back out again. And this time we were in budget. Basically, the same guy bid it twice. It's just we didn't have enough money in the budget the first time.
Okay.
Right?
Good enough, thank you.
And I think so also that it's worth mentioning, some of these historical buildings, only certain people can work on them. It's not everybody, every contractor can come in and do that kind of work. So that's
Not
what
to mention the penalty that the parish serves if something happens to that building.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Dean.
All right, thank you.
Motion by Coach to approve, second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Discussion.
The question goes towards the administration. Considering this is a historical building, have we looked into any kind of grants or any sort of waivers in case anything happens during this construction to limit our level of liability here? I guess you can answer the question on the grants first. Have we sought any grant money?
No, due to this construction, it didn't seem to qualify. When we first started, we first came on, we had hired a previous contractor. It wasn't that they weren't qualified, but we wanted someone to be more specialized in lifting buildings, like someone from New Orleans who had experienced a lot of subsidence and a lot of with these older buildings. In addition, we wanted to know what other parts of the building were sinking and sagging, and so we did more of a detailed study, and we wanted to do that to ensure that we were doing this one time and we're doing it correct. And so now we're at the point of getting this company, which we feel comfortable with, to go and do that. And, you know, the company has insurance like every other contractor we deal with. So if anything happens that they fall, you know, liable for, then that's on them. But we feel comfortable. They have experience in these type of buildings, coming from New Orleans and doing a lot of lifts there. And so even though it's not cheap, you want an expert in this field, for sure.
Certainly.
Especially when we
I
deal
guess
with
the
this
reason I'm asking the first question about the grants is that I know that in New Orleans, they have received grant money to address historical buildings. So I'm going to put the onus on the administration to at least have someone in the administration look to see if we can subsidize our costs here.
Okay.
That would be, you know, I guess preferred by our taxpayers.
I'd say that's a fair question. The only problem is that, you know, grants are not guaranteed. It takes a long time. Do we take a chance on something happening to this building, or do we go ahead and fix what's there? And I mean, this is our responsibility. Even though it is historical, we're responsible for every other building, and that's one of those handicaps that Ascension Parish has over its back, is that we have to own all these buildings across the parish for other government entities, and this is no different. So to me, you got to go fix this problem. You fix it now, because it could grow worse. It could cost us even more money. So things are not, you know. I agree. Anytime there's a grant, you want the opportunity to go and see if there's grant money. I agree 100%. I don't think we need to delay on this. That's my.
I'm not asking you to delay on the project, but there are opportunities for reimbursement through grant opportunities if we go and look for it.
Okay.
You know, I mean, granted, we should have done it before, you know, but at least going forward, we know to do it. And then I guess you answered my question on the liability aspect of it. Mr. DePatie, legal counsel, have you had a chance to look over this contract to confirm that we are protected by our contract, passing liability onto the contractor?
Typically, before the contract's signed, I review it.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Typically, before the contract's signed, either myself or Mr. Robert reviews it.
Okay. So it hasn't been, you haven't looked at it yet?
I have not, but John Paul may have.
Okay. Well, let's make sure that we're covered on that aspect of it before we go forward and having somebody damage a building that we're liable for.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Is that it?
No further questions.
Thank you. We had a motion and a second. Had further discussion. Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. Item 9, planning and zoning recommendations. Zoning review, IDPZ-2881.22 for Charles Tebow, located on the east and west side of LA Highway 405, approximately 8,300 feet, 1.57 miles, north of LA Highway 1, north, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from conservation to medium industrial, to light industrial, medium industrial, and heavy industrial. Zoning Commission recommendations. What I need is a motion to accept or deny the Zoning Commission's recommendation. Motion to approve. Motion by Coach, second by Joel, to approve the recommendation of the Zoning Commission. Any questions? Any discussion? Any objections? There being none, the motion carries. Item 10, introduction of ordinances. Legal counsel. What's that? Item A, introduction of ordinance budget amendment number 2 to amend the 2022 budget finance committee recommendation.
Motion to introduce.
One motion to introduce. Thank you. Item B, motion to introduce to amend the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, Appendix 5, Drainage, Section 17506, Protection of Existing Watersheds and Conveyance Systems, 17506.1, Development in the Floodplain, 17-506.2, Wetland Preservation, 17-507, Placement of Fill, 17-5012, Stormwater Conveyance System, 175013. Design Criteria, 175014. Drainage Servitudes, 17-5094. Implementation of September 2019 changes. Planning and Zoning Commission. What the chairman is looking to motion is to postpone this to the April 7th meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazzo to postpone. Second by Councilman Robert. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Item C, introduction of an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulations, Section 17-4044, Drainage Requirements, 17-4045, Drainage Design Criteria, 17-4050, Servitude Revocation, 17-40100, Definitions, and Attachment B, Drainage Impact Study Procedure. Planning recommends approval. We're looking for a motion to postpone.
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazzo, second by Councilman Mason. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries to postpone. Item D, introduction of an ordinance to authorize the parish president to execute and accept a donation of, am I in the right place here, Senator?
Yes.
Yeah. A donation of 63.014 acres of immovable property identified as Lot C2 on the final plat of Hidden Lake subdivision. Planning Department recommendation. I need a motion to introduce.
Motion.
Motion by Chase Melanson to introduce. Moving along, item 11, public hearings, ordinances. Legal counsel, Mr. DePatie, please read the ordinance of budget amendment number 1, approved to amend 2022 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ordinance Budget Amendment Number 1, an ordinance to amend the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating 2022 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension, adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on the 18th day of November 2021. Section 1, the Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2022 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget, Juvenile Justice Program Fund, expenditures and other financing uses, transfers out, Juvenile Justice Program Construction Fund, $600,000, Parish Utilities of Ascension, expenditures and other financing uses, engineering services for water sector, program grant, appropriations and grants, capital, $821,000, capital budget, Juvenile Justice Program Construction Fund, revenues and other financing sources, transfer in Juvenile Justice Program Fund, $600,000, expenditures and other financing uses, architect and landscape services, capital, $600,000. This ordinance having been submitted to vote thereon as follows.
Before we get on, I just wanted to mention we did have a green card signed by Ms. Cindy Steyer. She just said, although I do not wish to speak, I am present and in support of this item. Okay.
Motion to open public hearing.
Motion of public hearing. Motion to close. Second. Who seconded that? Chase second. Motion to close the public hearing by Michael, seconded by
Second.
Joel. Sorry about that. And item C, motion to
move the budget amendment ordinance.
Second.
motion by Chase, second by Terry to move the ordinance. Any objection? There being none, motion carries. Item D, reading of an ordinance. Mr. Kenneth.
To amend and add certain sections of the Unified Land Development Code, specifically add Section 17-2082B, fence requirements, amend Section 17-405, preliminary plat procedure, amend Section 17-4021, large-scale development, amend Section 17-4032, street requirements, add Section 17-4032B, access and connectivity, amend Section 17-4037, servitudes, utilities and drainage requirements, amend Section 17-4039, block requirements, and add Section 17-4060, traffic impact analysis. Whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to establish a new fence permit procedure and standards to ensure fences stay out of servitudes and establish consistency with types of fences throughout the parish, and whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to clarify the procedures for plat approval and establish a system by which the statutory 60-day approval clock does not begin until the preliminary plat application is deemed complete. And whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to have the large-scale development section of its code specifically referred to the Pelican Point project, and whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to clarify and make consistent its street requirements, including but not limited to increasing the minimum road width from 18 feet to 20 feet, and whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to establish standards for mobility to, within, and throughout a proposed development and its connection to the existing and/or future developments, and whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to clarify its requirements for servitudes to be identified and recorded with plat documents and required servitudes to remain free of fences, walls, structures, and any other debris that may impede adequate drainage, and whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to require consideration of its new connectivity standards when determining block lengths, widths, and shapes, and whereas the Parish of Ascension desires to transfer an existing traffic impact analysis policy from attachment A into an established codified subdivision regulation and amend the language and procedures for clarity and simplicity. Now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, the Unified Land Development Code be amended and supplemented as further described in Exhibit A attached hereto and made part hereof. Repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith or hereby henceforth repealed. Severability, if any provision of this ordinance is held to be invalid, such invalidity shall not affect the other provisions herein, which can be given effect without the invalid provisions, and to the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. This ordinance having been submitted to vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Motion for public hearing. Motion by Chase to open a public hearing. Second by Terry.
Second.
Motion closed. Second by Terry. There again, the chair is looking for a motion to postpone this item.
Motion to postpone.
Motion by Michael to postpone, second by Terry. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, the item is postponed. Item G, reading of an ordinance. I'm sorry.
Ordinance. Purpose.
Excuse me. I should have been, out of courtesy, Mr. President, would you have any comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, just that we, working in collaboration with the council, this is something that the administration supports. I know the time frame is and has been a little tight, and so we want to make sure that we have enough time to check all the boxes. And I think this is a good move, and we're in full support. And we appreciate the council coming up with this suggestion, and we're in full support of it. And I appreciate all the conversations I've had about it, and we look forward to achieving our goal within this time frame.
Thank you, Mr. President. And for sake of clarification and having full knowledge of what we're voting on up here, I think it's a good move. I think everybody on the council agrees with that. Madam Council.
I was just going to say thank you, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me, that we appreciate the administration's willingness to give us some more time. We've had some very, very productive meetings this week in which we had the opportunity to have our concerns addressed, to become better familiar with what we are about to cast a significant vote with regard to. And so I thank you, sir, and the planning department, and Tarek with Keating Keast for the tremendous job that they're doing. Thank you all so much, and I hope my fellow councilmen will understand that we asked for this extension in order for all of us to be listening to each other and to have a better document at the end of the day.
And I'll add to that we've had full cooperation at the meetings we've attended with Kendi Key's staff and gotten answers to all of our questions. And I encourage the rest of the council members who weren't able to make those meetings. I'm sure others will be scheduled, and we do encourage you to attend those. And if not, get your questions to Jerome or John or the parish president, and they will be addressed. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you, Chase, for reminding me to do that.
I just want clarification on what we were doing.
Yeah. Item G, reading of an ordinance to decrease disconnect fee from $42 to $20 in the ACUD1 PUA schedule of fees. Penalty section Utilities Committee recommendation. Mr. Kenneth.
Purpose, to amend the Ascension Consolidated Utilities District Number 1 and Parish Utilities of Ascension Water Company Rules and Regulations, Section 4, Billing, Fees, and payments, 3 fees, penalties to decrease the disconnect fee. Whereas rules and regulations for ACUD number 1 and PUA was established December 8th, 2021, and whereas the Utilities Department recommends that the disconnect fee be decreased from $42 to $20, and therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the Ascension Consolidated Utilities District number 1 and the Parish Utilities of Ascension Water Company Rules and Regulations, Section 4, billing fees and payments, 3 fees, penalties, be amended to decrease the disconnect fee from $42 to $20. Severability in the event that any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provisions and shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. Effective date, this ordinance shall be full effect as permitted by law. This ordinance having been submitted to the vote thereon was as follows.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Motion by Chase, open the public hearing, second by Coach.
Motion to close public hearing?
Second. Motion by Chase to close the public hearing, second by Councilman Lambert. Motion to move the ordinance.
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazzo, second by Coach. Any further discussion? Any objection?
I'd just like to make a comment on the recommendation to the utility committee was very accepted. Myself, I recommended to make the change. I just wanted to note to the general public in itself that it was recommended from myself to the committee to make that change for the betterment of the constituents.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. I see where we are.
J.
Item K.
J.
J, reading of an ordinance to amend the Personnel Policy Manual, Chapter 16-1, to add the Performance Evaluation Program. Human Resources Director Lucy Casel. Kenneth to read.
Purpose, to amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 16, Personnel, Article 1, in general, Section 16-1, Personnel Manual and Official Pay Classification Plan adopted of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, whereas the Parish of Ascension to the Ascension Parish Council under lawful session passed an ordinance adopting the Parish Personnel Manual and Official Pay Classification Plan on January 8, 2009, and whereas the original ordinance established a uniform system for reimbursing, promoting, and classifying Ascension Parish personnel, and whereas the plan was last amended on January 23, 2020, and is in need for a further revision, and whereas the Human Resources Director has prepared a revision to the Parish Personnel Policy Manual, and whereas the Parish President has accepted this revision and proposed the revision to the Parish Council for review, now therefore be it ordained, the Ascension Parish Council does hereby authorize the amendment proposed by the Human Resources Department and submitted by the Parish President, attached here to and made a part hereof as Exhibit A. This Exhibit A is available for review in the Office of the Ascension Parish Human Resources Department. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing.
Motion, second. I got a Councilman Cazzo.
I can speak after the public hearing if you'd like.
Okay.
I'm going to close
I
already.
got a motion to close the public hearing? Second by Joel, second by Michael. And Councilwoman Cazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to take this opportunity to thank Lucy and all the team for getting this done. I think we've, between Aaron and I, we've probably been begging for this since
18.
Way back there. When we first began to work with Christelle on trying to improve our pay scales and reward those employees who handled themselves in ways that were exemplary. And so I'm delighted to see this. Thank you so much for bringing it to us. And I certainly know that it won't have a problem being passed here. Thank you so much.
We appreciate the hard work y'all put into this. You too, Patrick.
Thank you.
All right. I need a motion to move the ordinance. I'm sorry. Councilman Lawler.
You know, I'm absolutely for this 100%. Absolutely love it. One thing I'd like to see if we can do, if maybe a year from now, after we've gotten them, if we can get kind of a report on how many 5s, 4s, 1s, 2s, 3s we got, because I know sometimes you don't always, you know, everybody wants to tell everybody that they're doing great, and it's really hard to tell somebody that they're not doing great, but we're not doing our job if we don't identify where we can improve. And maybe we can just look at it and say, okay, look, all we did was 4 and 5s. That's probably not the case, so we may have to tweak it later on, but just go review it in a year. That's all.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any objection to the motion? There being none, the motion passes.
Motion to go into executive session.
Motion by Councilman Melanson to go into executive session, second by Michael. Any roll call vote, Madam Chair. Madam Secretary. We are in executive session.
Councilman Robert, can you cast a vote?
I tried to tell the crew if you vote against it. Chair will entertain a motion to reconvene. Motion by Councilman Lawler, second by Travis, he's coming. Second by Councilman Melanson to reconvene.
I'd like to make a motion.
Mr. Lawler,
I move that we recognize that Demco is in violation of their franchise agreement by obstructing roads and creating safety hazards for the citizens of Ascension Parish and any citizen of any parish that drives through Ascension Parish.
Second.
motion by Councilman Lawler, second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. Motion to adjourn by Coach, second by Councilman Robert. No objection. We are adjourned.